What's up, guys? We got the Traveling Investor Show coming up in 1 minute. Tune in.
Countdown begins.
That's right.
The first time
Topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hello, W4CY listeners. Are you ready to learn the spiritual laws to success and wealth? Well, pack your virtual bags, because it's 1 p.m. Eastern and it's time for the Traveling Investor Radio Show, sponsored by Cornerstone Investment Partners and RE/MAX Commercial Realty Partners. Fasten your seatbelts and get ready to get wealthy. And now, here's your host and travel guide, the real estate guru, Nitsan Mosery.
What's happening, travelers? This is Nitsan Mosery coming to you from somewhere on Spaceship Earth. And we got a great show for you today. I got an amazing guest here. And if you go on live, if you go on the Traveling Investor Facebook page, you can catch us live. I've got Limor Ben Ari here. She is she's a single mom. She came to this country from Israel, not really knowing what was going on here, created a company for herself, and now created another line of clothing, which is called Be Human. And there it is right there. And so hi, Limor, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, today's show, we're going to talk about entrepreneurs and what it takes to be an entrepreneur. We're going to talk about the dark side of entrepreneurship plus the light side, because we only talk a lot about, the positive things about entrepreneurship. Oh, entrepreneurship is great. Entrepreneurs are awesome. We do so much. We work so hard. We make so much money, blah, 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 blah,
hassle.
Right. Hashtag hassle. Hashtag me too. We won't talk about that. But there's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes when we're working as entrepreneurs and whatnot. And we're going to talk more about that when we come back from the break. But what I want to just quickly share right now, the Traveling Investor, we talk a lot about commercial real estate. We talk a lot about investing and so forth. So I just wanted to share some stuff with you guys out there in the world today when you're looking at investing here in this country in commercial real estate. There are two things that we look at. We have the short-term yield, the short-term interest rates, and the long-term interest rates. And right now, what's happening in this country is the short-term interest rates are going higher. The short-term interests are higher than the long-term interest rates. And what happens is when you look at that whole curve on a graph, that curve, instead of going up, now becomes inverted. It goes, it just kind of inverts itself. And for the last 30, 40 years, whenever that's happened, we can pretty much time it 18 to 24 months down the road is going to be a recession. Now, it's not a recession like we came out of, in 2009, where it was a great recession where, people were jumping off buildings and houses and buildings and things were just, people were just walking away from properties and saying, here are the keys, leave me alone, and go. It's going to be a little dip. It may last a year, may last a year and a half. There's really no say in how long it's going to last. But, the feds are raising interest rates. They just did it this past week. Yesterday, the Dow Jones dropped 800 points. Because of that, there's a lot of insecurity in the market today. So when we're buying in a situation like this, we were talking about it earlier, right? What can we do, right?
Yeah, what do you do I felt it's coming as well. I kind of notice what's happening around with my entrepreneurs friends, and I see the struggle is coming. But what do we do?
Right. So what do we do?
How do we prepare for that?
How do you prepare? Right. Well, if you're out there and you're investing, you got to really underwrite conservatively. You got to be able to project your numbers in a way that if there is a downturn, can you still pay your bills? Right. Can you still maintain the asset? Can you maintain the mortgage payment? If this is your, if it's an investment, if it's a business, right? You want to start trimming the fat, as we say, looking at what expenses you can cut out and really trying to bring in and tighten the belt, so to speak, so that your expenses aren't great. You want to start talking to your clients and saying, hey, listen, you know what? We need to start figuring out what we're going to be doing in the next couple of months, 18 to 24 months, so that we can prepare ourselves for when this downturn happens. And, the last recession, in every recession, there's a great saying, cash is king.
Yeah.
So you want to hold on to your
Save.
cash. You want to hold on, yes, you want to save, right? And we were talking about this before, is that, we Americans, we have a hard time saving money, right? We were saying, if you're making $100,000 now with all these tax reforms and tax savings, let's say now you're making $110,000, $120,000. Problem is, we're not saving that extra cash.
Right. We also like to show off.
Right.
So we buy all the toys and the cars and the watches and the things sometimes when we can't really afford it.
That's right.
To show off the lifestyle.
Right. We show it off, right? We'll rent a car rather than buying a car. We'll lease a watch. We'll rent a fancy house and show people, a facade, right? But this is kind of what the Great Recession happened in 2009. This is kind of where it was from. People were pretending big time, right?
Yeah.
Banks were giving loans out to people that couldn't afford to pay the mortgage.
I didn't even have a green card. My husband at the time didn't have a job, and we got a house.
Amazing,
that was
right?
the market back then.
That was the market, and then it collapsed. It all collapsed because it was built on nothing. It was built on air. Built on nothing, and it was about to collapse. So now that the yield curve is happening and is becoming inverted, and you know what? Just Google yield curve. Okay, inverted yield curve. You can Google. You can read about it. You can go on different real estate brokerage sites. Marcus and Millichap, they come out with a newsletter. Just Google it, and you can read about it. And then you can prepare yourself for when that downturn happens. With us, what are we doing? Well, we are now tightening our reins on acquisitions. We're still buying, but we're buying differently. We're buying on actual numbers. Well, we always buy in actual numbers, but we're buying also on conservative numbers, a conservative rent growth. Can what I'm buying today with the numbers that it's getting, will I be able to pay the new mortgage and the new insurance and taxes and so forth?
And it will be a good time to buy.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So actually everything is going to be lower, and so it is an opportunity market.
Absolutely.
And you talked about almost some people celebrate recessions because they anticipate it and they're ready to buy and take whatever everybody else has dropped.
That's right. Cash is king in a recession. Cash is king. When you've got cash and prices are down, Warren Buffett has a great saying, right? Warren Buffett, man, guy's a genius. I don't care what you say about his politics. The man's a genius. The man knows how to make money, right? He's proven it 100 times over. Yeah. His great saying is, when people are greedy, be fearful. And when people are fearful, be greedy. So now, in a hot market, people are being greedy. They're buying. You go to the supermarket, you go to the hairdressers, you go to the massage place, and this one's buying a property, a rental. This one bought a rental property. This one's quitting their job, and they're starting to flip houses. Everywhere you go, people are buying. They're being greedy. So that means for us, the smart people, we now have to be a little fearful of what's coming. Yeah. When a recession hits and people are scared, right? What was the big thing? We don't know how long this recession is going to last. We don't know how far it's going to go down, blah, blah, blah. When you hear that talk, that's the time to start accumulating, right? That's when you go out. When there's blood on the streets, that's when you go and you start going, right? You start accumulating and buying and being greedy with the assets, because eventually we get out of that recession. Everything goes back up, and that's when you sell. You just kind of roll and roll and roll.
Yeah. And talking about fear and failure is important. That's how you look at it in the face and deal with it. And most people don't want to talk about it. Not in entrepreneurship, failure or fear, or the recession. It's a scary word.
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody
when
wants to
I walked in here today, and you told me recession, I'm like, okay, let's do this. I mean, it's the dark side. But we have to stare at it. We need to know the darkness and the fear aspect too.
You can't be like an ostrich and just stick your head in the ground and hope for the best, right? That never comes out. I always tell people, I tell my kids, I say, look, I've got this in my hand. I've got something solid in my hand, and I've got hope in the other. Which hand is full? The hand that has the actual substance in it. Hope is just air. We can hope for the best.
Right.
But if you prepare, and if you look forward, and you have forward thinking, and you really say, and what's the worst case scenario?
Right. Yeah.
Can we survive worst case?
Mm-hmm.
Right? All right. So that was enough about our yield curve and all that stuff. We're going to take a quick break from our, we're going to hear from our sponsors. And when we come back, Limor and I, we're going to talk more about entrepreneurship, what it takes to be an entrepreneur. We're going to talk about the good stuff, the bad stuff, and the ugly stuff. Yes. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Yes.
Investor on W4CY Radio. Please take a moment to listen to the sponsors who have a secret message just for you. Don't leave.
Yes.
The best is yet to
Secret
come.
message.
The Traveling Investor.
So who's
We'll
on?
be right
Can we
back.
see who's on?
Yeah, you can write to us and comment.
Yeah, comment, guys.
Come
Ask us
say
questions. Questions. Anything you want
Fiesta
to hear.
Pet Deli, South Florida's original.
We wanna hear from you
fresh
guys.
food deli for pets. We carry a
Do we
full
look
line of
good? Do we
products
sound good? Would you
and
change
We
something?
have FDA
How are my
approved
eyebrows?
meals
Eyebrows looking
Those are
good?
special eyebrows.
Yeah, huh?
They're very unique. Eyebrows like that don't exist anymore. You
No.
have to do like a, what do you call it?
Right, an expose.
Maybe
An expose on my
no, they
eyebrows.
can install. They do tattoo eyebrows today. It has a name, but I'm not girly enough to know it.
When I was growing up, my friends used to call me Brooke Shields.
Oh yeah.
'Cause I have Brooke Shields eyebrows.
Yeah. I used to have it and I took it all off.
Collars, leashes, natural chews, and
Yeah.
grooming supplies. Veterinary and
Look
at all
owner-operated
this stuff
Fiesta
that
Pet
he
Deli's
has.
mission is
My
to
daughter
help
makes
pet
that.
owners
Really?
My daughter, yeah,
as
she
much
makes
as
it.
So
possibly
cute.
can.
She knits.
Call
I
us
love
today
it.
These
for
are my
local
little,
delivery
I love
or
this
shipping
color.
throughout the United
It's like
States.
so
Call
80s.
Fiesta
Yes,
Pet Deli today.
and she made this.
954
Blue and white,
Wow.
Israeli
Israel
colors.
colors.
Yes.
Oh,
954-971-2500.
She made herself a hat. She made a scarf for my mom, for her mom, my
Wow.
wife.
Cool.
Yeah. They do it in school.
Yeah.
She's in 7th grade, so the teacher
Oh, so they
is
teach
teaching them.
Nobody knows how to knit anymore.
Nobody knows how to knit, but it's also, she says that it's good for the kids, especially the
Oh, it's like
boys.
therapy.
Especially for the boys.
You
It
need
calms
so
them
much
down.
patience to
Yes.
do this. Oh, I would break the, how do you call
The knitting needles.
yeah, I would already break it.
Call 1-800-KID-REAL
Yeah.
to learn more. AT&T, rethink
So
possible.
what's up, guys? Talk to us.
Silent.
I know.
This is from Heather. Join me for
The-
In Your
the-
Face.
what is it? The cloud, the
The World Wide Web.
The digital web is out there.
Digital web. Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Rich.
All right. Who wants to be rich? Raise your hand. Let's go.
Attention listeners, we are preparing once again for takeoff. So please return to your seats
Taking off.
as W4CY Radio welcomes back your real estate guru, the traveling investor, Nitzan Mosery.
Hey, travelers. How are you? This is Nitzan Mosery coming back, and I'm here with Limor Ben Ari.
Hi.
And she just created a company or a T-shirt line, a clothing
It's
line.
a clothing line. It's an
Right.
inspirational clothing line.
Mm-hmm.
And it's meant to take people off of digital media into the real world and remind us how we need to connect with each other and inspire each other. And it started with t-shirts, but it's hats and mugs and other things. And it has messages of inspiration like be human, be real, be raw, be you, be strong, be brave. And the messages are for each other because when you walk down the street, they say how a smile can change someone's life.
Absolutely.
And everybody always would read whatever you have on you. That's your message. And it's enticing conversations and human interactions and, messaging, inspirational messaging off the digital world. Because the way we see things happening and moving forward, we forget how to talk to each other, interact, real life, engage. So it's a human inspiring clothing line.
And what inspired you to create it?
So doing social media marketing and digital marketing for 12 years, that's how old it is, and then marketing and advertising for 18 years. So I watched human interactions online, and I actually learned a lot of my methods and my inspiration came from Dale Carnegie of how to make friends and influence people.
Absolutely. Great
and,
book.
And the power of influence and human communication has always existed, and it's been the same since the 1800s. The only thing that changed is the tools and methods. And today it's social media. But there's nothing like like it to replace real human interactions. The bee concept is, my company's name, the marketing company is Dvash, which is honey in Hebrew.
Right.
So it's all about building beehives, communities, through spreading honey and nectar.
That's right.
So
That's
spreading
awesome.
inspiration, spreading love, spreading sweetness, and then connecting all of us in the world like a community, like a beehive. That's kind of the combination between the bee and the human and the spreading of nectar.
Very cool. And you, and the bee on the shirt, you actually, I read somewhere that you had someone design that bee specifically for you.
Yeah, I
Right.
had a local artist, Gleason, work with Mike. He's cultivating different artists in town. He works with 30 different artists. And he worked with a graffiti artist, Mike. You can actually find his exact handle and name on my site. But he designed the bee, and the bees actually, you can see that it has like drops, like
Right.
paint drops almost from it. And it's showing the imperfection of us humans.
That's great.
Because we're so real, we're never perfect.
Sure.
We always need an added element to make us better. We need to be strong, or be real, or be nice, or be happy. We always need something to kind of make us better.
Sure.
But we're never perfect. So
Sure.
to be on the shirt is also
That's awesome.
imperfect.
That's awesome, and I love it. And it's funny, I was walking down the street the other night, and I think I told you, I saw an elderly couple, way past their 60s, and he was sporting a Be Human
I
shirt.
love it.
It was great. By the
That's
time I took out
amazing.
my phone and turned
Yeah.
around, I thought they were going to walk by me slowly and I would have time, but these guys were cruising. And they just took off, and I guess they turned the corner, and I
love
missed
it.
them.
That's my inspiration, like to see people in the streets, and people are sending me pictures of the shirts they got, and they're wearing it on a Friday night. It's a big statement, too,
Right.
because that's like your night to show off and shine. And that's why I believe in it. I feel like everybody has a voice and a message, so wearing it helps. And I'll tell you what, from an entrepreneurship business perspective, for over 12 years, I've been helping brands and companies build their businesses, launch communities, do websites, and for the first time I decided to invest in my own business and brand. And that was very scary because I always did it for others.
Right.
But I felt like because of that, I know what it takes to try to make it. And that was actually from all my entrepreneurship, like of a services kind of business, moving into my own brand and product. That's, seeing the difference. And honestly, it sounds like a joke, but I learned how to make money in my sleep.
Right.
Because you put up the product, and if people love it, they buy it. And
That's
I literally, I put up the site, and I woke up the next morning, and I got alerts from my bank, and I thought it was a mistake. I didn't even believe in it myself, that overnight you can make money in your sleep. Now, how much money and if it's enough, that's
that's a different story.
conversation.
But you can track that, and you can tweak it.
Right.
You can look at the metrics and say,
Yeah.
this style sold more during this hours.
Optimize and change.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
the concept of making money in your sleep exists, especially today with the online world.
Warren Buffett tells you, if you want to become, the only way to become rich and wealthy is to make money while you sleep.
Yeah.
That's the only way to do it, because if you're relying on your own time and the 8 hours that you're at work to do it, and all the other times it's not happening, you're not going to become wealthy. And I think that's fantastic. We have some questions here. Let's see. Do you make the products yourself?
I design the products. I come up with the concepts. So I've been a writer since I'm 9, so I've been writing a lot of sayings, quotes, and things. So it's all original content, a lot of it. And I design the products, but then I use fulfillment centers and printing companies too.
Right.
And I choose the fabrics and the shirts that I want.
So how did okay, and we have another question here is, how does one get capital to start a business? So let's talk about
That's a good
entrepreneurship.
question,
Okay,
yeah.
so this is a good question that leads us into entrepreneurship and so forth, right? Because we were talking about that before the show, right? A lot of people, they look at the entrepreneur and they see the one person or the two people that own the company, and they think these are the only people that are working, that are doing it. Oh my God, how could you do so much being one or two people, right?
Everybody thinks that it's one person with a dream.
Right.
And when you talk about entrepreneurship, everybody's pitching, it's the hustle, I work hard, it's consistency, it's mindset. we have all these terms, and when an entrepreneur is becoming successful, they always take the credit because we're naturally egotistical and selfish.
Sure. That's
and
why we're
motivated.
entrepreneurs.
So when we become successful, we're like, yeah, I did it. And behind every successful venture, there's one person, like Steve Jobs and Zuckerberg, and like. But the reality is, and that's what we talked about behind the scenes, it's all dreams and an idea until someone else comes into the picture and believes in you and invests in you, whether it's the people that buy the product or services or follow what you're doing, or if it's an investor that comes and decides to give you a break and help you, or if it's your partners that come and help you produce the platform or launch the technology that you need. The people around you are the ones that actually make you successful. And no entrepreneur is talking about it. Everybody's taking the credit to themselves. But the reality is you can have the best dream in the world. And you can be the biggest hustler and work 50 hours a day, even though it doesn't exist. But you can claim that you do. And you can hashtag hustle as much as you want. But if somebody else doesn't believe in you, if other people don't support your mission and join you, then it's just a dream.
That's
It's a failed idea.
That's right. Yeah. You need, in even in real estate, right? Especially, it doesn't matter if you're buying a house or if you're buying an apartment building, you need a team. You can't do it on your own.
No.
It's just impossible. And anybody that wants to get into business for themselves or wants to create a change in their life, that wants to do, become an entrepreneur, start a company or whatnot, you can't do it by yourself. One of my business partners has a great saying. She goes, to be successful in commercial real estate, it's like you're running 12 marathons at the same time because there's so many moving parts. How can one person do everything? I can't fly to the property and walk the property and while I'm doing that, talk to my investors and underwrite the property and analyze the property and walk this and do that and talk to the attorneys and make sure. You can't do that. You need other people to help.
Yes.
And
believe in you.
Yeah, but you got to have the right people because the wrong people can bring you down.
Yeah.
Right. You got to have the right people that have the same vision and the same mission. And I think when you're an entrepreneur, you really need to write out your vision statement and your mission statement. And anybody that you bring on your team has to read that vision statement and believe in it and fight for it and move towards that vision statement.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, you're kind of just. You're in the water and you're trudging by yourself, and you're.
Yeah, and it can take even one person, one email, one phone call of somebody that believes in you, and changes your entire life.
Sure.
And my favorite stories I actually heard about both Lady Gaga and Tony Robbins, who are extremely successful, and in both cases, separate people, random people that I met. One of them told me she was the talent recruiter for big musical events before Lady Gaga became Lady Gaga. And she used to call herself, all these music events and pitch herself. She was a hustler. But people used to laugh, like, Lady what? And that was the reaction the woman told me she gave her. She's like, Lady what? Like, who are you? So, yes, she was a hustler and she worked hard and she was consistent. But ultimately what gave her the chance is that one person that told her, yes, come and perform. Oh, yes, come do it. And you can see it in her new movie, The Star, It's that one person that gives you a break and gives you the stage and invests in you, and then you become successful. And with Tony Robbins, it was the same thing. I know people that were thinking of hiring him as a sales motivation speaker for their company, small company, before he was Tony Robbins, right? And he was just hustling and pitching himself. Like, imagine Tony Robbins trying to sell himself to someone today. Because somebody gave him a break.
That's it.
And then the right people. He got a lot of celebrities behind him. He got a lot of people that believed in him and gave him the stage. Otherwise, he would just be another unheard voice. And her voice is the same. And we all have a voice. We all have a gift, a talent, a dream, a motivation, something we want to do. So what's the difference?
That's right.
To the next.
So you got to have the right people on your team. But look at Tony Robbins, look at Lady Gaga, look at people that are really successful and are doing good. Because Lady Gaga, she's not just an entertainer. She's a musician. She knows how to write music. She knows how to play different instruments. She really is a talent.
Yes.
Right. So she comes with all that talent. She came and she was able to take advantage of an opportunity that was put in front of her, right? A lot of people, even a lot of entrepreneurs, they have the skills, they have the talent, they have that, but they're afraid to take action. They're afraid to go out and to, somebody say, hey, you know what? Here's the stage. I'm giving you no, well, you know what? I don't want the stage. Maybe not now.
Right.
Talk to me. So the mindset of an entrepreneur also has to be fearless, right? We jump off the cliff and we build the plane as we're falling.
Yes.
Right?
And large egos. Like you have
Large
to
egos.
think you're the... Can I curse?
Yeah, go ahead.
You need to think that you're the shit before you're actually the shit.
That's right.
And that's why we talked about how also entrepreneurs would never like to show weakness or fear
right.
or even failure, because we can't talk about it because people don't like weak people. So a big quality of entrepreneurs is to always fake it till you make it and show like you have and show like you do, even when you don't.
Right.
And that's the fearless
mentality. Right. Fake it till you make it. That's a great point, because it talks about mindset. If you're living in a scarcity mindset, if you're thinking, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't do it all, why does it always happen to me, blah 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 blah, the universe is going to respond in that way. But if you go out there and you put your if you think like Tony Robbins, when he does 5,000, 10,000 people, he doesn't think, oh my God, I hope I do well.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to rock this thing. This thing's going to be awesome. The people that are going to walk out of here are going to walk out of here going, oh my God. So it's that whole mindset. And then your vibration inside of you. So you start vibrating at a higher level. You start communicating with the universe at a different level. So all that has to come to you. And going back to the question that somebody asked, where do you get the capital to start? Well, first, as an entrepreneur, you got to come up with an idea. Right. And then you got to build a team around you, right? Then you've got to project your numbers, right? You got to put all that together. And if you have a good business plan and you've got the right people behind you, then you go and you start talking to everybody you know. Hey, this is what I'm doing. These are the people that are going to help me in my team. Take anything. If somebody's coming up with some biotech or some new technology, right? They have an idea. I want to create an app. Okay, well, who's the best person to create an app? What kind of an app do I want to create? Right? What is it going to do? How many people do I need on my team, and who do I need to have on that team? You create that, and that's your power team. That's your credibility. That's when you go to somebody and you open up your book to them and you say, these are the people that are on my team. Because,
the people that, and investors, the ones that believe in you. But also I spoke with a business owner that talked about that mentality of looking for investors. Because that's a new generation of entrepreneurship. Because back in the day, you wanted a company, you built it yourself. You didn't look for people to come and invest in you. That's like a new thing.
You went to the bank and you got a loan from the bank to start your business.
Yeah, and with me, I see here also how does one start a clothing line. And the new generation of entrepreneurship, which is going to be even bigger in the next 25 years, is you can do anything and everything online today.
Sure.
You can open a Shopify store, which is basically a website with whatever products you want to sell, in 15 minutes. You can be on Amazon, the largest retailer, in 24 hours. So you can, and there's drop shipping sites and printing sites, and you can do anything you want to do today without a capital, which is basically what I did in my case. I didn't rely on any investors or capital. I built it all myself, but I had to teach myself how to use that technology and how to use all these platforms. And we talked about that as well, that anybody can do it online today. And that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, because looking ahead, 25 to 50 years from now, every single person that knows how to turn on a computer can build a website, can build a shop, and can sell products. So then how, from all that noise, how do you stand out? And that's where it comes to the people that believe in you, the people that believe in what you're doing and your message and your voice and all that. Sure.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to listen to our sponsors. When we come back, we're going to talk about more about entrepreneurship, about what it takes to become an entrepreneur, how to find capital, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Traveling Investor on W4CY Radio.
I actually never saw these questions, so you get them live online.
Don't leave. The best
people are listening, and they
Traveling Investor. We'll be right back.
What does that mean?
I don't know. When do these things come about?
You can tell what's wrong with a car just by sitting next to it at a red
Done
light.
in the
You
planning.
can tear down a big
That was
block
7
engine
minutes
in
ago.
26
It's
minutes.
a lot of questions.
You know
It's
cars.
good.
Yeah,
We can help
shows
you
that
find
people are
more than to
listening.
work
They're
on.
engaged.
Together,
Mhm.
we can get your small business moving in the
How
right
did we
direction.
come up with the vision
Great
statement?
content.
AT&T
Thank you,
advertising
Julie.
solutions.
Awesome, Julie!
People.
Stop.
Direct marketing. AT&T advertising
Oh yeah, I
solutions
gotta
has local
plug the
advertising
meetup
experts
tonight. I
to
have a
help your
meetup
small
group
business find more
of
customers.
investors
Call
coming tonight.
1-800-GET-REAL to learn more.
They still exist,
AT&T,
investors?
rethink possible.
American investors are so scared. They invest in real estate,
Right.
not technology.
Right.
They're scared of technology. They invest in real estate and in Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's crazy. That's what
Yeah.
people are investing today.
Investors here are very. I tried to recruit them for technologies and apps, and they don't want to touch that.
No, no.
They're scared.
It's because we see, right? You buy, you do one thing.
Jimmy Star, the king of cool, and your host of
This
the
is
Jimmy
the
Star
love.
Show.
That's the love rock.
Uh-huh.
Quartz.
Great. Quartz.
People looking to get a behind-the-scenes peek at what's going on in the entertainment industry.
Does it
This
help?
man is
You know, you need
VMI
to wash them with
Cool,
salt and water to remove the energy and put it in the sun.
Some do the sun, some you got to do on the moon. It's all different.
Or go to the ocean and wash it.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah. Stick them in the sand, let it all do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have more. If you look up there on top of my,
Yoda?
no, on top of the bookcase.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
amethyst,
Oh,
I have
the
my
Buddhist.
Buddha, and I have my my pyramids.
Hey, I'm John. I'm Gary, and I'm Ricky, and you're listening to W4CY.
So ask us some questions, Julie. Come on.
Yeah, the people online ask more questions than the people on Facebook. We need to change it. You want to do some name drops? Where's Douglas?
Here we go.
Sponsors.
Show them your shirt. Show them the shirt.
Once again,
Be
for
human.
Be human.
It's behuman-human.com.
Radio welcomes back your
Awesome.
real estate guru,
Awesome.
the
So I gotta get a
traveling
t-shirt.
investor,
You got
Itzan
it.
Mosery.
What's up, travelers? And we're back here with Limor Ben Ari with Be Human T-shirts and her social media company, Dvash, which means honey in English. And we're talking about what it takes to be an entrepreneur. Love the questions that you guys are giving us on the W4CY website. It's awesome. What's up, Dr. Konis? How's it going? One question that we received is, how do you write a vision statement? Right? What is a vision statement and how do you write one? That's a great question. And every company needs a vision statement. And right now I'm actually working on my vision statement for the radio show. And a vision statement is your goals. What goals does your company want to achieve? Obviously, one goal, for example, is making money, right? But that's not the vision. How do you want to make money? And I'll give you an example of a vision statement that I started working on for my radio station, right? So the Traveling Investor radio station is committed. The Traveling Investor's vision is to enhance the life of all the listeners and people that we touch through our social media, through our radio station, by educating, motivating, and something else I can't think of it. It's written down somewhere. But this is kind of the vision statement, right? And you got to work on it and make it really, really strong. And then from there, what we do is we create your mission statement. The mission statement is, how am I going to achieve my vision? So for me, my mission statement is, every week, my goal is to bring on my show incredible guests that will enhance, motivate, and inspire my listeners to go out and to create better lives for themselves. We are going to have weekly shows. We're going to give great content, and that's kind of the mission. Again, you got to break it down, and anybody that's on your team, anybody that's working for you in your company, whatever, has to know the vision statement by heart. And you got to come in every single day. And what it does is, when you're creating a new product, let's say for your company, or you want to go in a different direction, or you want to add new things to your company, you look at the vision statement and you say, is what we're doing aligned with our vision statement? And if it's aligned with your vision statement, then you can go out and you can continue doing it. And I was talking about it with the president of my Rotary Club, that Rotary International has their vision statement. But we as a group, what's our vision statement? What's our vision? What do we want to do with it? And I think when we have one vision statement and every member knows that vision and believes in it, absolutely, we can start working together towards that vision together. And now imagine you've got 80 people in a group and they're all working for that one goal, right? That's when you can create stuff. That's when you can really do stuff together. Absolutely.
Yeah. This week, I mean, I had 2 posts that were kind of controversial. One of them is, I think, why you invited me to the show today. But I literally had a mental breakdown this week because I've been having kind of a rough month. You know, things didn't really work out the way I wanted. Like, nothing I wanted really came to, like, just struggles as an entrepreneur.
You have it, right?
And that's when the fear and the doubt and the darkness comes in, and, like, you battle your own demons with like, am I doing the right thing? Should I keep going? What is going on? And that's kind of like the madness stage. So I posted a video on Facebook of basically me dirty. And like by dirty, I mean I haven't taken the shower in 4 days. Right. And on day 4, I basically posted that video. I had my glasses on and my hair in a bun, whatever hair I have left. And then, you know, just in my PJs. And I'm like, this is real entrepreneurship. This is me for 4 days, hunkering down, creating. I built like 4 websites in like 1 week and 8 social platforms, and I was just launching a lot of e-commerce sites, just trying to like open all my channels. Opening all my channels of revenue, income, and like, you know, business. And it felt like a mad woman. Right. It felt like hustling. It didn't feel, it wasn't like me wearing heels and fancy pencil skirts and sitting in lunch meetings drinking champagne. Right. That's not the entrepreneurship, the hustle that people represent on social media and Instagram with the beautiful collages and filters and hashtags. That's not real entrepreneurship. Like, real entrepreneurship, it's dark and it's low sometimes. Like, the highs are super high. Like, you can make more money than you ever made in your life being an entrepreneur. You can be more successful than, you know, anywhere between 4 walls in a cubicle working for someone else. Like, having a job is limiting.
Absolutely.
Being on your own is the freedom and independence and the
terrifying.
money.
It's terrifying.
It's really high, but the low is also very low. Right. It's very down and dirty and ugly. And that's what I posted. I'm like, this is hustling. Like, hustling is not wearing fancy heels and clothes and like showing off. Like, the real hustle is like the behind the scenes, the hunkering down, the building, the developing, the believing, the continuously pushing through the low. That's right. And that was ugly. And also, as a woman, another post that was controversial last week is I posted, I give up on entrepreneurship. I'm ready to be a trophy wife. And you know what? I got so many proposals and opportunities, like, legitimately, especially here in like Boca Raton, South Florida. Like, for a woman, it's easier to make money selling your body than actually selling services and it's real crazy. Work.
Isn't it crazy?
Because people, men specifically, would pay more for sexual favors or, you know, from a woman than to actually have a woman provide real work. And that's the struggle as a woman entrepreneur to overcome that. And I actually told you how I think it's natural. Because biologically for men, you know, historically, scientifically, biologically
it's in our DNA.
Men are programmed, they see a woman, they want to reproduce. Like, it's like physically computerized in their brain.
That's how nature made us.
Right. So how do you overcome that? How do you surpass that initial interaction and, you know, kind of biological urge, and really move it into a business conversation? Right. And
but you know, that's a great point. And I was just thinking about it now when you said it. You know, how does a woman take, you know, that mindset of a person or that initial look, right, and says, okay, you know, so can you know, is there a way of taking that energy and saying, you know what, instead of making a physical baby with me, right, we can create something together, our baby, and watch it grow and watch it that. But it is very, very hard, you know, and one of my business partners that we've been together for 10 years now, we wanted to buy a hotel in Mobile, Alabama. ooh, these boys.
Oh, yeah.
These are the good old boys.
Yeah,
How y'all doing today?
Southern charm.
Right? I mean, it was great, but
Yeah.
we would get on the phone, and she would start talking, and they would be very rude to her. They wouldn't even acknowledge her. They wouldn't this, and then I would have to come in, and I would start talking, and then they would talk to me. They would look at her and be like, oh, she doesn't know anything, and before we closed on the property, she went to the property to do the walkthrough, and she found that these guys were about to, going to steal us blind. And they were like, no, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She doesn't know what she's doing. She's the woman. And I'm like, listen, I trust her more than I trust you. I don't know who you are. If she's telling me 40 air conditionings went missing, I believe her. So yeah, it's very strange how that mentality still exists today.
It still exists, and people don't want to talk about
They don't want to talk about
that, but it's real. And a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, especially when I had to get accounts as an ad agency, I had to get clients. I could sense that, and sometimes I recruited a guy to come into the meeting with me and present my ideas, because I knew that they would go for him and not me.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I mean, you kind of have to be flexible and move around with the business, knowing the decision makers and what their style is. But that's the reality, and I was fine with it, because as long as you don't have ego, I'm like, yeah, talk to a man if that's what you need to hear.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
the business is still done, and behind the most successful men, there is a woman. I'm not saying it like a feminist statement. Like I'm all for men empowerment as well. I think men should be men and women should be women, and women are beautiful the way they are, and men are strong and the way they are. But I still think that a lot of ideation and creativity is inspired by women in business.
Absolutely.
And men are becoming the executors because they're good at
That's what we do.
fixing and building and doing.
Right.
So there's something about the dynamic and the combination of both in business.
I like to say behind every successful man is a woman rolling her eyes.
Yeah.
you know? But I agree with you. But to go back to, how do you find the capital and all this? So once you've got your plan, once you've got your team, you go out and you start sharing you start sharing it with people, We got another question here. Can you find others to work with when people take that stand on things? It's hard to work with people that have a closed mindset, or think in a certain way. But like Limor, like you said, if you don't have that ego, my business partner also, when we talk to sellers of properties and whatnot, she's like, Nitzan, you do the talking. If you need me, I'll chime in, right? Because you know what? For whatever it is, whatever reason it is, people want to talk to the man. The man makes the decisions and blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, while I'm talking, I'm texting my partner, right? And she's like, all right, say this, say that. Okay, and so I'll go and I'll say, well, what about this and that? So it comes out of my mouth, but it actually came out of her mouth. But
it's
they just want
delivery.
It's so like that, And, I think if we are able to get all of that out of the way, we can just create a lot. We can create a lot more when we do things like that. We collaborate. There's a great poster, right? You see an iceberg, right? You have a small tip of the iceberg that comes out, and that's what people see. But below the water, that's like the main part of it, right? You got to have good roots to be an entrepreneur. You got to have good roots. You got to have, I call it, you got to have rhino skin. Rhinoceros,
very strong,
right? Rhinoceros skin, man, it's like 4 feet thick, and rhinos are very timid. They're vegetarians. They're very chill. They don't bother anybody. But you come and you poke that rhino, or you try to put a fence around it and you block it. It will take that horn and it will start charging, and it will just. So that's how we have to be, and I think women in business have to be that way as well. You can't take it personally. You got to have that rhino skin.
Yeah, you have to be tough.
You got to be tough, and and to be
destructive almost.
Absolutely, and
I was called a bull in a china shop when I was in corporate, like especially in my 20s when I thought I knew everything. All the names in the world, bull in a china shop, this, that. I'm like, okay.
Right, yeah, and you gotta do it, and here, always work through the doubt, always stay faithful to your convictions. Amen, Dr. Konis. Absolutely. You got to stay true to your convictions, right? You got to stick to your guns. And that's what we were talking about earlier about creating the vision statement for your company. You create the vision statement. Now you know what convictions to stay faithful to.
So I actually have a question about that because I've built, vision statements because I was trying to be. My problem is that I get distracted. Like I wake up with a new idea, new thing every day, and then if it doesn't work out, I give up. It's like I'm moving really quickly, and even when I built business plans and visions, I don't have the consistency through it, and also I let it kind of evolve and grow and mold into whatever I think it needs to change. So how do you stick to that vision when the fears come, or when the doubts, or when the questions, or even new learnings, when you learn new things, or you suddenly discover a new thing that might impact the original vision? How do you change with that?
Well, that's a great question, and that's one of the reasons why we have a vision statement, right? Because things do change, right? And a vision statement can change, but it really shouldn't. The vision is the main is the reason why. The reason why. Why are we in business, right? We're in business to change the world. We're in business to make our investors' lives better, make our residents that live on site better, our clients that we're building these eco sites for and websites, right? What is our goal for them? So when you're letting things evolve and work in their way, and you have your doubts, especially when you have your doubts, oh man, this is not working. You read your vision statement, you're like, you know what? Okay, what was I doing that wasn't in line with my vision? Or what am I doing that is in line with it? And that kind of gives you hope, because that, it doesn't give you hope, but it gives you the energy to come back on track. It keeps you on track. Yeah. It keeps you going forward. It's that anchor that you throw way, way out into the ocean, and you keep pulling yourself towards it, right? Sometimes the water will take you to the right, sometimes the water will take you to the left, but if you're tethered to that vision statement, all right, that's the direction. So yes, you can let things evolve, but when you let things evolve and they don't evolve towards the vision or have the vision in mind, then you can say, you know what, that's evolving in the wrong direction. Yeah. Let's bring it back to this area. Okay, and if you notice that your vision statement doesn't work or is not correct, you have to go and you have to change it. You have to, it's not something that is consistently changing. Your business is consistently growing and changing, but your vision statement, for example, my vision for the radio show is to enhance the listeners' lives, right? Okay, I enhance their lifestyle, but how I do that can change. But my vision is to enhance their life, to help them grow, to give them incredible content and information that will remain. My show can evolve where I have a co-host, I have other things but the vision is that every show is to give great content and enhance and whatnot, but it can evolve in many different ways. Does that
that's when you build brands. It's the brand story,
right?
The brand architecture is starting with why, what is the reason for doing it,
right?
And then how do you do it, and how are you different than anybody else that's doing it,
right?
And your motivation and story.
That's right. And just like Dr. Konis is saying here on the live feed, you can't sell anything you don't believe in. Absolutely. You got to believe in it. And that's what the vision statement is for also, is when you're hiring people. Yeah. Here's the vision statement. This is what we're going for. This is what we're building towards. If you don't agree with the vision statement, you can't work here. Because you don't want people that are just coming in doing a half-assed job. You want people that are completely aligned with you. And there was a great movie. Wow, it's eluding me. Where this British guy went into the desert in Africa, and he tried to get all the tribes. He didn't try. He went and he got all the tribes to come in to fight together when everybody told him he was crazy, and the way he did it. But so I have one of my mentors has a picture of the character on the wall. So that's kind of a place where everybody that walks into his office or into his building sees the picture and. What is that? And he goes into the story. So this is the vision. We get everybody together moving towards the same goal, the same vision.
And you do that through, and people want to feel important,
absolutely,
and loved, and appreciated, and listened to, and inspiration. That's what it works on. And thinking about that, I think we talked about it before, but I can't remember. You know what the biggest brand in the world is?
Which one?
Jesus.
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 Yes.
Religion
Jesus.
is
That's
God.
right.
God
That's
is
right.
the biggest brand in the world, because it gave the power to the people to believe in something
Right.
that gives them a meaning for life, a reason why they're here.
Sure.
And if you infuse that feeling in everybody, then you create a movement.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
It's true, right?
Absolutely. When I was in network marketing, we had a saying that Jesus was the number one multi-level marketing genius, because he came up with an idea. He told 12 people. He trained them on what to say and how to do it and how to recruit. And then
Before
he said,
social media?
right, before social media, before any of that.
Yeah.
And then he came out and he said, go talk to people. And now look where it is today, you know? Absolutely. Show the love to your team, then they'll reflect it back. Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, we agree with you 100%, Dr.
Which,
Konis.
by the way, I think you interviewed one time. Do we have time? My mentor, it was the CEO of Bank of America in Hawaii. He's 80 years old now, Jerry Zarnecki, and he wrote leadership books. And one of his books was Lead with Love.
Lead with
and
love.
He was talking
That's
about
awesome.
agape love, the purest form of love. And it's not like an emotional, romantic, intimate love. It's about loving people the way they are and enhancing the best in every person on your team to make them better.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's true.
Fantastic. What if you don't have faith? Find faith. Find something to believe in.
Even
Find
if it's
something.
yourself, if you think you're God.
That's it, man.
Atheist, right?
Absolutely.
That was just an example of a brand. It wasn't mean.
You got to believe in yourself. First of all, you have to believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, find somebody who believes in you. Find a mentor or a coach that will believe in you until you're able to believe in yourself.
Yes, that's very
Okay?
true.
So you know, that belief will then permeate and you'll send it out to the universe, and that's how you attract more people like yourself. So be careful what you're thinking and what your thoughts are. And on that, we gotta say thank you to Limor. It was awesome having you.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I enjoyed this back and forth here in the office.
Yeah.
And for you travelers, thanks for being on the show. I'm going to leave you with an old Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and rain fall soft upon your fields. Until next time, this is the Traveling Investor, Nitzan Mosery. I'm here with Limor from Dvash and Be Human. We'll see you next week somewhere on Spaceship Earth. Be well. Peace out.
Bye. Be human.
Wow, what a great show. Are you excited to learn the
That was good, right?
That was awesome.
All
Thank
right,
you,
thanks
Doctor.
for joining, guys.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you
Bye.
soon.